Hello everyone and welcome back to round 11 of the F1 2000 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here at the Ardennes Forest for the Belgian Grand Prix at Circuit de Spa Francorchamps. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live last week from the Hungaroring, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We've got just 6 rounds to go of the season and a 20-point gap between myself and Pedro de la Rosa, but Michael Schumacher is slowly clawing his way back in towards the title fight. Are we going to end up competing against both of the Ferraris for the crown this season? Of course, Ferrari, they've won the last 2 World Championships inside this game. But that being said, yeah, Belgium and Italy, they're going to be 2 tough circuits for us. And if we couldn't beat De La Rosa at the Hungaroring, I think we're going to need a bit of a miracle if we want to beat him this weekend. Well, as we head into qualifying then, the sun is shining here in the Ardennes. That's not meant to last though this weekend. Once again, 2000 must have been the wettest year ever for Formula 1 based on this game, because we've got yet another wet race on the horizon. So I've completely sacrificed qualifying pace in the car to hopefully give us a better shout in the Grand Prix. But if you had to put your money on anybody this weekend, surely it would be Michael Schumacher. Of course, took his first ever Formula 1 win here 8 years ago. Made his first ever Formula 1 start at this venue 9 years ago as well. And of course, yeah, loves this place and has often ran very, very competitively around this circuit. For us though, it's going to be damage limitation in qualifying. I'm hoping we can just end up comfortably inside, sort of the top 8 still. I would have thought BAR this weekend on paper should probably struggle to even match Williams once again. I would have thought it's going to be Williams, Ferrari and McLaren filling out your top 6 slots. But that being said, Johnny Herbert has often sprung a surprise so far this season, and maybe you'll get another one this weekend as well as we make our way down through Fagnes. Just see here, we are so far behind Michael at the front of the order, but again, we lost most of that time through the first sector there, trying to utilise all of the track width available to us. Of course, we don't get the old bus stop chicane around this layout either. I did a video on AMS2 even earlier on this week, taking on the classic version of Spa in 2000's Formula 1 cars as well. That video was brilliant fun, which I would recommend checking out as well. But up in towards what is now the bus stop chicane though, yeah, this has not been a lap to write home about at the final corner. Huge snap of oversteer. It's going to be P10 on the grid. That is disappointing. Well, Ferrari then lock out the front row ahead of McLaren, who lock out the second row there. Johnny Herbert, yeah, did do a really good job to end up ahead of both Williams and the Jordan cars. P10 for us, though. It's not good. We've got a lot of work to do, but this car should hopefully be better in the rain. And as anybody that's watched any of this series will know so far this season, when it rains, anything can happen.
Welcome along then to the Belgian Grand Prix, the race that gave us the maiden victory for the Jordan team in 1998. And in the same team, the phenomenal debut of a young Michael Schumacher. There's always something special around one of the many corners of this fan favourite circuit. Spa Francorchamps then, a 4.35 mile tour of the Ardennes countryside with 9 right corners and 10 left corners, giving us a grand total of 19. Average lap speeds in the dry can reach about 145 miles per hour, but without a significant improvement in these conditions, we won't be seeing anything like that today.
Well, ready then down on the grid for the Belgian Grand Prix, and looking at these conditions, it is going to be wet right the way throughout. However, we have got the Camel Straight to navigate in a few other fast bits of circuit here, so we are still going to need that extra fuel. Of course, tyre wear in the full wet conditions has been very odd this year, so I'm hoping today we're going to be able to stay out of too much trouble. Basically try and take this first stint as far as we can, and then we'll kind of work our way from there. But staying out of trouble is going to be key. Anybody can make errors in these conditions. Will we see a repeat of real life 1998? It's 5 red lights here on the grid. And it's going to be lights out. And away we go then, nice and easy on the throttle as we try and put the power down in towards turn 1. Frentzen will immediately cover me off, and they can actually send it to the inside of a couple of cars there in towards that first corner. Fortune favours the brave. Also favours the oversteer there as we've got an arrows. And we've got a safety car immediately. That can't come as much of a surprise. I mean, this has got to be the earliest DNF you'll ever see from a Formula 1 Grand Prix. Arrow slowing down into turn 1. Just blast the throttle into the back of the Sauber. No idea what they were doing there, but we've got our first casualty of the day, and we barely survived a single corner. Well, I'll be honest, usually when I get safety cars on lap 1 on this game, I just restart the race because it is a little bit annoying. But today, of all days, I think I'm going to keep that safety car. It'll allow everyone just to kind of reform single file, ready for the restart. We've gained a few spots as well, which is always nice. And I think we could be here all afternoon if I dare try and wait for a clean first lap. Well, the team have already told me on the radio this rain is actually meant to get slightly calmer over the next few laps, which I think is quite good. Bearing in mind I can barely see Jacques Villeneuve, who's about 10 feet in front of me. I mean, Belgium loves a good monsoon condition Grand Prix, doesn't it? I mean, we are getting another one here today, but Schumacher's still leading the way then at the front. It's another opportunity for him to, of course, prove himself as the Rainmeister, but he's still got De La Rosa, Hakkinen, and Coulthard all close up behind. Could we see Hakkinen repeat the move he did IRL here at the top of the Camel Straight? Still one of the greatest ever overtakes in Formula 1.
Mix 3 is there if you need it. Mix 3.
Green flag racing, though, as we almost run into the back of Jacques Villeneuve into that very first corner. We are probably just going to have to try and take a lap or two to settle in, try and build up confidence in the car, and then we'll see whether we can attack the other drivers. As, I mean, Eau Rouge is nowhere near as flat as I was hoping it would be. May have thought I had more downforce there than we do. I mean, the biggest thing we're struggling with right now is trying to keep the car in check, but then also avoiding getting any oversteer, because in these conditions, you get any kind of moment, any kind of over-rotation, and then the traction control just cuts in, and you got no power, and then you just go for a really, really lazy slide through the next corner there. It's not enough where, you know, you're going to spin out or hit a wall or anything like that, but it just costs you so much unnecessary time. As you can see, we've already lost a fair bit to Jacques Villeneuve, and you can see as we make our way up over the top of the Eau Rouge and Radion, yeah, Alexander Wirtz looking very, very quick. Round the outside, he's going to go. And again, I don't really think we got any fight at the moment. We will when he breaks early. Had to completely send that back down the inside, and that was more about not losing our car from this entire Grand Prix. Well, it doesn't take long before the rain really does seem to be dissipating here as well. Just see what I mean about that oversteer. You cannot allow the car to lock the rears up. It's just fighting with the car through those final couple of corners. Pace definitely seems to be getting slightly better. Admittedly, everybody, of course, is still building up confidence. But yeah, I'm so happy for the most part that I've got ABS and traction control. I think if we had to do this in our old Arrows car from 1998, we'd probably be in a wall. Well, I still want to know what on earth happened at Albert Park for our tyre wear to be so bad around this venue, because it hasn't been much of a concern ever since then in this series. I mean, Blanchimont, I was about to say, is almost flat out. Certainly not when you get the line wrong like that. But yeah, looking at the tyre wear at the moment, I think unless the conditions change drastically, we should be pretty safe to go right the way to the end of the race on just this single set of tyres. As Villeneuve now trying to look for a move on Johnny Herbert. Our teammate seems to just be struggling a little bit more, as we got another one out of the Grand Prix. It's one of the back markers though, so I'm not too worried. I'm not too sure whether Johnny Herbert is just trying to hold up Jacques Villeneuve, or whether that's just a byproduct of his lack of pace as the conditions are meant to be clearing up. But yeah, we're trying to obviously lean on all the separate mixes of fuel as well. Trying to use 1 on corner exits and then 3 down the straights, because it really does make a big difference here as well. We've got yellows out. Is that a McLaren in the wall yet again? Surely it's, I mean, it seems odd to be saying this, but it's going to be a McLaren that's bottled it, I would assume. Unless Pedro De La Rosa or Michael Schumacher's ran into issues, which I would be shocked about. And it's Hakkinen out of yet another race, and we got another safety car because of it. To be fair to Hakkinen, he hasn't binned it this time. It is just a simple mechanical failure, but McLaren, their dreadful year. Whenever you think they can't get more bad luck, It seems to just happen again. Worrying me, though, is that does present an opportunity for the AI to potentially take a cheap pit stop. We will win this race as Jacques Villeneuve there just caught me out by surprise. So Villeneuve's going to pit, Johnny Herbert's going to stay out there. The big one, of course, I'm really interested in is obviously Pedro Della Rosa. There's Coulthard in, Della Rosa's in, Schumacher's in. Suddenly BAR have got a 1-2 here, and once more, our OP tyre wear seems to be showcasing itself. Well, I think in a Grand Prix like this, track position is absolutely critical here, and Michael Schumacher, despite making that pit stop, has come out directly behind both the BAR cars, so I'm expecting him to be able to make a move pretty quickly. I want to try and get around Johnny Herbert, though, as well, and hopefully Pedro Della Rosa is a bit further down the order. Maybe got jumped by the likes of Coulthard, and maybe even Jacques Villeneuve as well in the pit lane here. But Johnny Herbert leading the way then, as we try and put the power down out of the final corner. Both BARs struggling to quite get the hookup we wanted, and that might leave us a bit vulnerable. So Michael Schumacher back down in towards turn 1. Just try, I mean, desperately got to try and get heat back into the tyres there, and you can see that's giving me understeer and Johnny Herbert oversteer through turn 1. Are we going to see Schumacher, though? That Ferrari just seems so comfortable as it fires back up its tyres there, and Schumacher will say thank you very much and immediately re-inherit P2 of this Grand Prix. Can we try and keep up with him, though? Surely Johnny Herbert, he's going to be told by the team, you know, do everything you can to try and keep him at bay. I'm not too worried if Schumacher beats me.
Excess of fuel. We can turn up the engine to mix mode 3 if you need it. Turn fuel to rich.
Of course, I would like to beat the German if I can. But I am much more interested in trying to make sure that we beat Della Rosa. Well, Coulthard has now moved himself back up then into P5 of this GP, so we know at least the McLaren car got between ourselves and the Spaniard. But you can still see Johnny Herbert at the front of the order. I would love it if he would be able to try and take the victory here today. I really do feel he'd deserve it with the season he's had, as again, not quite spotting our breaking point down at those final couple of corners. I don't know what is wrong with us this weekend, but we seem to be all over the show.
We're starting to catch the car in front, but we need to look after the tyres. We won't be making another pit stop.
We are definitely not catching the car in front right now. That's Michael Schumacher, and he's setting new fastest laps like they're going out of style. But he doesn't seem to be able to get around Johnny just yet. Coulthard now has moved his way around the Jaguar of Rubens Barrichello, so he's going to be trying to hunt us down. Definitely, though, starting to see Herbert struggle as well just up in front. Like I said, I really have got genuinely no idea what our teammate or really any other car's tyre strategy is going to be like between now and the end.
2.0 seconds.
I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would assume that Ferrari just took the opportunity to have a cheap pit stop with both of their cars and want to go to the end of the afternoon. I mean, could we see it dry up? Not optimistic, but it might happen. Well, this is a textbook example by Johnny Herbert right now about how to drive in the rain in Formula 1. He's just sat on that drier line and defending his position from Schumacher to the best of his ability, making sure he's getting the run off the corners he needs to, parking the bus through the ones he doesn't have to worry so much, and Schumacher at the moment cannot do anything. Della Rosa now has moved up into P5 then of this GP. As Coulthard, yeah, he's about to start hounding us. Well, I've asked Jeff as well about Johnny Herbert, and he doesn't seem to think that he's going to make a pit stop before the end of the afternoon. Now, that's no guarantee that he actually isn't. But also what's interesting is the team aren't sure whether the circuit's going to dry out enough by the end of the GP. We seem to be getting just a little bit quicker as well at the moment. That gap to our teammate in Schumacher is coming down just a little bit. But yeah, Della Rosa in that Ferrari behind will be running some very fast laps, as wheel spin at 180 miles an hour was not really what I wanted. Well, they always say rain is the great equaliser in Formula 1, and that never seems to be more true than here today. Michael Schumacher, finally, he's going to try and look for a move down the inside of our teammate Johnny Herbert up the end of the Kemmel Straight. And Johnny Herbert just cannot do anything about it that time around, and Michael Schumacher finally, for his sake, back into the lead of the Grand Prix. That's a little bit gutting for us, because I was hoping if Johnny could keep him at bay a little bit longer, then maybe we could try and have a look past the German and then work with our fellow Brit to try and claim the victory here. But We're still ahead of our other big title rival in Pedro de la Rosa, and I need to take points out of him this weekend, even if it's just a few. We've got to stay mathematically with a shot, try and drag this title out to Brazil, or hope that he crashes or has a mechanical failure somewhere. And immediately Michael Schumacher, new fastest lap of the day, he's gone at the front of the order. We won't see Michael again unless we get another safety car, or Ferrari's tyre wear can't make it.
I think you're going to start losing some tyre grip around now.
Yeah, our tyre wear is still pretty much running at a flat 2% a lap, which is not much of a problem around a track like Spa, but I mean, Ferrari, yeah, their tyre wear has been so much worse this season. It seems a bit odd just to be constantly hoping, banking on the idea that Ferrari might have to make an extra pit stop, but we've got to try and stay in this title fight somehow, and this thing is absolutely brilliant on its tyres there as Herbert just kicks up the back end once again. It is still not easy in these changeable conditions. We've got to try and find a way around his teammate. Yeah, if I was the manager of BAR right now, I might be telling Johnny just to try and let us by, give us a bit of room to Coulthard and Pedro behind, and just try and play the team game. We're in the title fight, our teammate isn't. Oh, Herbert again, he just really seems to struggle with that bump off of the final corner there. It always costs him a couple of extra tenths of a second. We don't often see moves down at turn 1, but we're going to have to try and send it on our teammate. Maybe not that aggressively though. Completely missed my apex there, and David Coulthard will say thank you very much in all the commotion. I mean, we've had contact with our teammate before this season. I really don't want that again. Where's De La Rosa looking? Side by side over towards Rouge and Radion. I was not expecting that by the Ferrari man, but yeah, we've got to now try and make our life a little bit easier again. We've got to try and get back past Coulthard. I want to get that P2. Fun fact, we've never actually finished P2 this season, which I couldn't believe. Oh, everybody just struggles to get the power down out of that final corner, and Coulthard that time round just makes a little bit of an error there. We'll try and get around the outside of the McLaren, back down at turn 1. Again, just banging wheels slightly. But that's perfect for me, because it means that Pedro de la Rosa hasn't made the move yet on the McLaren man. He might be vulnerable as he makes his way up through Rouge and Radion, especially with how good that Ferrari car is in a straight line. But 5 laps to go with this Grand Prix. You can see we are a little bit quicker down the straight than Johnny Herbert when we get the line nailed. Is Coulthard going to be able to defend from De La Rosa, though? I don't think he will. And the Ferrari man's going to try and move up into P4. Is he going to be able to hook it up, though? They're still side by side just behind. I've got to focus on trying to get the run on my teammate here, but De La Rosa's done it, I think. No, he hasn't. How are they still side by side, not come together? That would be ideal for me in the World Championship if Pedro de la Rosa was to lose a wheel. But both of those two just holding each other up as we make our way down through the middle sector. And Coulthard does hang on to it. How on earth has DC done that? I mean, we're basically just relying on Johnny Herbert to keep slipping up. Oh no, Herbert's in! No, Johnny Herbert, he's had enough. The tyres he doesn't think can make it. And we're just 4 laps to go. Our teammate finally peels into the pit lane here. I reckon we got the pace to maybe just keep Coulthard De La Rosa at arm's length. But in terms of our Constructors' Championship hopes, that's a bit of a shame. I just wanted to see Johnny Herbert get a podium, to be honest. Oh, Schumacher's in. What on earth is going on late on in the day? Michael Schumacher. He doesn't think he can get to the end on this one set of tyres. So we are suddenly, out of nowhere, going to be back into the lead of the Grand Prix. And De La Rosa's in. What on earth is going on? Ferrari, again, cannot make their tyres go the distance in yet another race this season. We've seen the Bridgestone's probably the stronger wet tyre so far this afternoon, but it doesn't make a difference if they can't go the distance. And both Ferraris, just like we saw back at Monaco, forced into the pit lane late on in the Grand Prix. That's going to promote Herbert back into P3. We are into the lead of the race. De La Rosa, he's going to come out all the way down in P6. Well, as the track continues to dry out, our tyre wear is definitely getting worse towards the end of this, but certainly not enough that I'm worried about having to try and make a pit stop inside these final 2.25 laps. But Schumacher, I mean, he's still closing us back down again. This isn't guaranteed yet. Oh, come on. I thought we had a gearbox issue then. Yeah, it's no guarantee still that we beat Michael. He's already taken close to 2 seconds out of me this lap. but surely Coulthard can act as a rear gunner. And for Pedro De La Rosa, his 20-point buffer in the championship is going to be completely eroded. I understand Ferrari double stacking when there was a safety car out, but why on earth under green flags, unless both drivers were getting punctures, Coulthard's in? What on earth is going on? The AI, they can't make it on those Bridgestones. And it looks like Herbert and I are going to be able to capitalise. Surely Johnny Herbert now is going to be back into the podiums. But, yeah, Schumacher 6 seconds back. That last lap, he took 3 seconds out of me. Well, as we are about to start then the final lap of the Belgian Grand Prix, we have still got to be absolutely on it here. Schumacher, again on that lap, took just over 2 seconds out of me. Any mistake on the last lap of the Grand Prix, and he could still see the German take the win. But I mean, this is critical for us in our championship. Schumacher sets a 2:03.5. Those are some rapid lap times coming in by Ferrari come the end of this one, and even Herbert, Coulthard and De La Rosa all taking time out of me at this stage of the afternoon. But as you would expect, we are on a completely worn out set of tyres here, and Schumacher, he's pit twice in this Grand Prix. Our tyre wear is creeping up towards 60%. But absolutely at this point, I think the no stop was definitely the way to go. I mean, in terms of kind of perfect scenarios for us, I think based on the early laps, we couldn't have hoped for much better than this. We took the win all the way back at the start of the season in Albert Park. We took the win at the Monaco Grand Prix as well. Both of those races featured some slightly changeable conditions. This one has pretty much just been wet right the way through the afternoon, but win number 3 of the year, hopefully about to go our way. And after we've watched Ferrari dominate the last few races, this is exactly what BAR need to help us after the summer break as well there. We've only got a few more rounds to go of the campaign. Oh, we got yellows out. Has Schumacher binned it? No, Schumacher's absolutely fine. No idea what that is all about. It's Coulthard. Coulthard, I think, might be out of the Grand Prix. He's dropping back at a rapid rate of knots, so that means De La Rosa will get a couple of extra points on the board come the end of the GP. That's a bit of a shame for us, I believe. The gap, though, if things are to finish like this, will be back down to just 8 points. But, of course, we head to Monza next, and that's going to be quite difficult for us. I think Coulthard might have run out of fuel, so again, McLaren, well, it's been the worst season ever for McLaren F1, I think, right now. But up in towards the final couple of turns, though, we are not only going to survive the Belgian Grand Prix, but the no-stop strategy has worked to perfection this weekend. We beat the Rainmeister in Michael Schumacher. It is P1 here at Spa.
What a great race then, and what a magnificent victory here at the Belgian Grand Prix. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
The Racing Point team will be very happy with today's performance and the final result. Another display of excellent driving and excellent teamwork, and a well-deserved first-place finish.
Well, there we are then. BAR, their 3rd win of the year, beating out Michael Schumacher at a track he loves so much. And Johnny Herbert, our teammate, even gets on the podium as well. Yeah, absolutely love to see it there. De La Rosa in 4th, ahead of Villeneuve. Coulthard did end up still surviving in 6th, with Wirtz and both Saubers in 8th and 9th place there. Both also on the no-stop, beating out Jan Magnussen and Rubens Barrichello, who failed to see the checkered flag. Jean Alesi, Jos Verstappen, and of course Mika Hakkinen when all is said and done. And what does that mean then for the championship? Well, we are 7 points back, behind De La Rosa, so we are closing in that gap once more. If we were to win next time out in Ferrari's back garden and take the World Championship lead, that would be rather impressive. Villeneuve and Schumacher still there or thereabouts in the championship hunt. Johnny Herbert gets a little bit of a gap back over those McLaren cars as well. They're just 10 points back behind Alexander Wurz, with still Salo ahead of both Jaguars. Then we get a nice bit of a mix-up further down the order there. It is still Button, though, that is the only driver yet to score. BAR, we re-jump Williams as well into P2 in the Constructors' Championship. I think we're going to need a bit of Ferrari Civil War if we want to beat them before the end of the year. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourselves subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready in Italy.